This is where the community is connected. 980 AM WDDO.
The views expressed on this program are not necessarily the views of the Glory 980 AM, the Glory Media Group, LLC, WDDO AM, its staff, management, or advertisers, but are the views and opinions of the participants of the broadcast.
Macon and Middle Georgia. It's time for Village Talks with Tia and LJ. Join them live every Wednesday from 5:30 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. right here on the Glory 107.9 FM, 980 AM WDDO. Log on to the Glory 107.9 FM on Facebook or YouTube to become a part of the conversation. Let's go live into the studio for Village Talks with Tia and LJ.
Is your child struggling with reading, writing, learning loss, and a culturally irrelevant curriculum? Do you want your child to be outstanding at reading and writing and also take pride in their culture? Then you want Reading Revolution Online. Reading Revolution Online is a web-based reading support program. We serve scholars in grades K through 8, and through our innovative approach, we help them build reading confidence and cultural identity development, equipping them for success in school and life. They learn about Black heroes and sheroes through captioned videos, reading selections, and other activities. Reading Revolution Online is an experience for the whole family. Do it for the culture. Go to readingrevolution.org and get your membership today.
Good evening. How y'all doing out there in 478 Macon, Georgia, Middle Georgia area? I'm LJ Malone, and this is my beautiful co-host,
Tia Lockhart. Peace, everybody. How y'all doing out there?
And welcome to Village Talks. We're Macon in Middle Georgia's brand new, unfiltered, raw, real conversation. Radio show that's gonna be focused on conversations centered around community and culture here in the area. All right. So today, we're going to tell you how our special guest is in a minute, but it's somebody very special. If you've been paying attention to social media and been looking at the flyers and some of the other promotion on the show, you'll know who that is. We're going to tell you anyway. Who is our guest today?
We have Macon's first Black executive director of Keep Macon Beard Beautiful, the wonderful, the beautiful, the talented Miss Aisha Ellen.
Yes. We're gonna bring her on. She's gonna come on about 10 to 15 minutes, y'all. But yeah, we're excited to have her on today. We're gonna be talking about a range of things like environmental justice, health, humanity, and some of the different projects that they have going on, which is a lot right now, especially with her at the Ham. They've been doing a lot of great things in the community. So we're gonna get into that in a little bit. But right now, we're gonna start with our news. Good news, right?
We're going to start with the good news. We're going to go into the accountability check. So good evening, Ms. Zakia Muhammad. It's always good to have you listening in. Yes, Aisha Ellen is here in the studio. So for the accountability check, y'all can always give us a call in or in the comments. These were also posted on the Village Talks Facebook page for our accountability check. How do you hold local leaders accountable for clean and safe environments? Who do you think should be responsible for improving environmental conditions in low-income areas? And what does environmental justice look like in your neighborhood? Y'all, those are our 3 questions, and we'll get into the good news. Y'all can comment in the Facebook or give us a call at 478-250-1444. So we'll be kicking off this week's Village Talks Good News segment with a huge congratulations to Superintendent Dan Sims, who was honored by the National Fellowship for Black and Latino Male Educators. Dr. Sims was named to the NFBLME Power 50, a prestigious list that recognizes Black and Latino male educators across the country who are making a lasting impact in education. We celebrate your leadership and commitment to excellence. We have a couple things coming up this week. Macon Transit Authority is giving the community a reason to ride on Friday, May 30th with free fare day from 5:30 a.m. to 9 p.m. The day will include a mini community service fair from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. and a Making Celebrity Story Hour from 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. These events will be located at the terminal station, so don't miss the chance to connect with resources and enjoy community fun on the house. And if you are riding MTA, make sure you get out between 5:30 a.m. and 9 p.m. for that free ride. The Bibb County Sheriff's Office outreach section is currently registering youth for their free PAL basketball skills camp. Registration is open Monday through Thursday from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. at 774 Hazel Street. There will be no on-site registrations at the Rosa Jackson Rec Center where the camps will be held, so be sure to get down to 774 Hazel Street. The camp is open to youth ages 9 to 17. The girls' camp will start on June 2nd and go through June 6th. And the boys' camp will be from June 9th to June 13th. Both camps will go from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. If you need more information on that, call 478-803-2710. And then lastly, on May 18th, the Tubman Museum hosted a powerful opening reception for the new exhibit, Embracing Possibility. This exhibit challenges perceptions around disability through interactive experiences, powerful artwork, and uplifting stories that explore the history of disability justice in Georgia and beyond. It's a celebration of resilience, creativity, and possibility. The exhibits run through June 2026, and we highly encourage you to visit and experience its impact for yourself. All right, so that's the good news that we have. We did also want to talk about I'm sorry.
No, I think we have a call on the line.
Yeah, I'm sorry, y'all. I was getting ahead of myself.
Yeah, and I think that's going to also fall into our good news category.
Oh, yes. Caller, there.
Yes, I am.
Hey, is this brother Ahmad?
This is Lamont,
Okay, what's going on, brother? How you doing?
and I'm doing well. What about yourself?
Man, outstanding, brother. Yeah, we were we're talking to you a little bit early this week about your event that's coming up, and we just got finished with our good news segment, and we felt like what you're doing is good news, great news, and it really falls in line with what's happening with Keep Making Bibb Beautiful and what Executive Director Aisha Warner Ellen has been doing, but also just what our community is doing to help ourselves, to help our communities, brother. And it's for something that's sentimental to you as well. What do you have going on, brother? What's the name of your event?
So this is our second annual I Am Gifted Community Day. And man, it's just to honor my little sister who passed away with cerebral palsy. She couldn't walk, talk, or feed herself. And she became my wife, man, and I wanted to do something special, put together an event that was special back in my hometown, and to be able to give back and let the youth know that we always blessed with a gift, no matter your circumstances, no matter what you're going through or where you come from.
Absolutely. That's amazing. It's really honorable and commendable that you're doing that in honor of your sister. That's awesome. And you said, when is the date for that again?
So it'll be June 1st, which would have been her 25th birthday as well. So we'll be picking a day out with a balloon release for her, but it'll be June 1st down at Central City Park from 1 to 4 o'clock.
And that's this Sunday, right?
This Sunday, yep. We're ready to go.
Okay.
For sure, brother. And what neighborhood are you from, if we might ask?
I'm from the east side, Fort Hill.
Oh Lord, from the east side, we got Stanley. Commissioner Stanley Stewart is in the building over here too. You look, he raising his hand. He raised his hand up here.
Man, that's my guy. Would love to have him out as well. Again, we had him out last year, man. That's basically what we want to do. We want to invite out our community leaders, anybody that's working in their profession or just operating their God-given gifts. We want them to just come out and be able to inspire and guide our youth and just show them that, we're willing to get out in that field and serve along with them. We'll take the day off again with just feeding the hungry and just doing a community cleanup downtown as well.
Yeah, that's awesome, brother. Like, seriously, especially when we have our people that are younger, that are doing this work, man, and really caring about the community. And I love your clothing line too, man. He has a dope clothing line. It's called I'm Gifted Culture, right?
Yep, Gifted Culture. Well, formerly Gifted Culture. Now it's called Gifted by God. Gifted
by God. Amen. We own the glory.
Come on now.
So I need my gear, man, so I can be wearing this for the live stream, brother.
Right, I need a size.
Oh, we're gonna take care of you, man. We're gonna make sure we bring your package down there.
Most definitely. Yeah, we appreciate you. And one more time, can you say the name of the event one more time?
Yeah, so it'll be I Am Gifted Community Day in partnership with Friendly Cat Agency. Friendly Cat Agency is a company that provides services to family members who are looking to get paid for taking care of their own loved one. that's disabled, and so that aligns perfect with our mission. As we know, my little sister again passed away with cerebral palsy, so our mission is just all about serving our community and just spreading that love.
Man, that's awesome, brother. And do you have a phone number or any kind of contact information for people to reach you?
Absolutely. If you could just send an email at support@giftedbygod, replace the I with a 1, so that'll be G1FTED by God @gmail.com. Or you can also DM me at Ahmad Barron on Facebook. That's AHMADBARRON.
Awesome. Y'all be looking out for that. I don't know if LJ got the flyer. Get that over to us so we can make sure that the community knows about the event. It has all of the details, and we'll be sure to get that out. And thank you so much again for all you're doing for the Macon Bibb area. I know you're not staying here anymore, but we appreciate that you are still willing to come back to your hometown and make sure that your sister is honored. So thank you again.
Absolutely. I appreciate you all. And I just, like I said, please, everybody come out. I know it'll be Sunday. You'll be just getting out of church, but that's all right. Come on down. We'll have Brown Barbecue and Catering, food truck out serving delicious food. So come out and just have fun, spread that love, and let's make a difference together.
Awesome. Absolutely, y'all. Make sure y'all get out there on this coming Sunday, June 1st. All right. And then we'll move right into the election watch. I'm sorry. So currently there is a early voting. It started yesterday, May 27th. It runs through June 14th of 2025.
Right.
Y'all, this election is for the PSC, the Georgia Public Service Commission. If you're not sure what the Public Service Commission is or what they do, the Georgia PSC is one of the most powerful state agencies you may have never heard of. Its members are elected officials who make key decisions that affect all Georgians, especially when it comes to how much we pay for power and how we receive it. But that's not all. The PSC regulates electricity and natural gas rates, including Georgia Power. So y'all with the Georgia Power bills, make sure y'all understand who is running and it doesn't really matter if they're in your area or not because the elections are statewide. But be sure you know who's running. There's going to be District 2 and District 3 for the PSC. They also regulate railway safety and rail crossings, natural gas pipeline safety, telecommunications in certain rural areas. Their decisions directly impact your monthly bills, public safety, and infrastructure access. That's why these elections matter. So just a little history, the legal battle over how we vote. The election was originally supposed to happen in 2022, but a major legal challenge changed the timeline. A federal judge ruled that Georgia's statewide election system for the PSC members diluted the voting strength of Black residents, violating the Voting Rights Act. The court called for a change, but that ruling was overturned by the U.S. Court of Appeals, and in 2024, the U.S. Supreme Court declined to hear the case, y'all, effectively letting the statewide elections proceed under the current system. So as the first judge ruled that it was a direct violation of the Voting Rights Act, right now we are still under that same law. So the legal debate continues in the background, but the 2025 elections are moving forward. So again, early voting started yesterday. It runs through June 14th. The primary election is on June 17th. And if there is a runoff needed, that'll be on July 15th. And the general election will happen on November 4th. So y'all, it's either going to be a Republican primary and there's going to be a Democratic primary. So who's running for Georgia's PSC in District 2, which covers Eastern Georgia, Augusta, Athens, and Savannah? The Republican primary is Tim Echols, who is the incumbent and seeking re-election. And then Lee Munns, he was the former Columbia County Commission candidate. The only person running for the Democratic primary is Alicia Johnson, so she is running unopposed. In District 3, which is Metro Atlanta, Fulton, DeKalb, and Clayton, Republican Fitzgerald, who is the incumbent, is also running unopposed. There are 4 Democratic primary candidates. Daniel Blackman, former EPA regional administrator and 2020 PSC candidate. Keisha Shine Waits, former state legislator and Atlanta City Council member. Peter Hubbard, Georgia Center for Clean Energy Solutions. And Robert Jones, energy professional with public and private sector experience. So why does it matter for our communities, y'all? Utility regulation is one of the most direct ways state government affects your pocketbook. From rising energy bills to whether Georgia invests in clean energy, the PSC decisions shape how affordable, equitable, and sustainable our future will be. In a state where Black voters have long pushed for fair representation and lower energy burdens, this election is a critical opportunity to make our voices heard. So Village Talks community, we encourage y'all to get informed, get involved, and go out and vote.
Right. Yeah, the PSC is very important. Like, if y'all didn't understand that, like with everything she just said, right? So not only our power bills, the internet service, the water, any type of public service that we have, like all of our rates are determined by these folks who are gonna get elected, right? And if you don't understand what you're saying about the lawsuit or the case, they're saying that statewide we're voting for officials statewide, right? So it's not like our commissioners, they are over a particular district or whatever, and the people in that district vote for the people in that particular district. Everybody statewide votes for everybody statewide, right?
Regardless of district.
Regardless of district, right? So what we're trying to do is get it to where we can vote for people in our district, can vote for the people we want to represent our district. So that's what we're trying to get to. But right now, we really need to get everyone to just lock in on this. Early voting has already started. Shout out to Patrick Davis. He's in the comments. He's a serious fact checker. He's got the data from how many voters we've had participate in early voting already. He said we have 42 total voters that participated during early voting in Bibb County on Tuesday.
So that was yesterday, y'all. That was the first day of early voting. There were only 42 voters in Bibb County. So we definitely want to make sure we get this information out, y'all. We have Renata Scott. Hey, everybody. She says, we also have Steve Bryan. Good evening from Alexandria, Virginia. Thank you for tuning in to us all the way from Virginia. We appreciate you.
Absolutely. Yeah, Patrick Davis said that's an at-large election. Absolutely. That's what that is. And for accountability check, we're going to have to, it's going to be a little short, I guess, right now, because we need to get into what Ms. Aisha Warner Ellen has to say. Right. You understand? But I will say this today, the accountability check is us shouting out what happened today. I think we, today at the Make It Bill LEC and in front of City Hall.
Incarcerated lives matter.
Most definitely. The community showed up, showed out. Shout out to, what's the name of the organization again? Human
Rights.
Human Rights Coalition, right? Human Rights Coalition. They're doing some great work. With making sure that our prison systems are being held accountable. And here locally, what's happening at the Bibb County LEC. If you're not familiar, get familiar with the conditions of the jail. There's some folks that are, they have other stuff they're trying to say about in regards to, well, if people are locked up, they don't need to be, we ain't worried about how they live and this and that or whatever. But we got to have empathy for all people and understand that everybody deserves to be able to have. For one, we're the only country really where the jail is looked at like, it's not viewed as a space for rehabilitation, right? In most countries, in most successful countries that deal with their prisoners, they look at jail as a means to rehabilitate people, right? I know a long time ago, my dad, he was locked up, just being open and honest with y'all, and he found a career while he was locked up.
Right.
He was locked up for 2 years. He ended up getting a trade. He learned how to do upholstery, and then he ended up saying he was one of the greatest upholsterers, that you will ever find. Interior decorating designer. He never went back to jail, for an extended period of time. But it was all due to him being able to receive a trade in jail. But rehabilitation is key. You know why we think about rehabilitation is because of the fact that they're people, and we want our people, our family members. Some of us, have done certain things that have caused us to go to jail, or we could have went to jail if we would have got caught. So we got to have empathy for folks, and then everybody that's in jail, not necessarily guilty. People don't want to hear that with that part, but there was a time where, especially us as Black people, we were locked up for all type of bogus stuff. Right. Just because we got blamed for crimes that other folks committed at one time. Absolutely. And if we don't pay attention, we'll get ourselves right back there with what's happening right now with Black history and the rights that people are having when in regards to equity. But shout out to everybody today that was down there protesting from the LEC all the way down to City Hall. Shout out to our one and only commissioner that was locked in, that was down there, Representative Stanley Stewart from the East Side. He was down there
Commissioner Stewart is everywhere. He makes sure that his voice is heard and that he is in the middle of what's happening in Macon. So if we do nothing else, we want to definitely give congratulations and honor to Commissioner Stewart for his diligence and his commitment to the people of Macon-Bibb County.
Most definitely. And the sheriff, he was out there. I give him that. People might not be happy with what he's doing, but I give him that. He actually faced the people, and explained, whatever his part was. We can't say that for the mayor at the city hall because everyone was asking for him, but
his representative.
Oh no, his representative came out there, but he was a little bit rude. Yeah, but we ain't even gonna talk about that right now. I was gonna say something about it. I might say something about it. We got 40 minutes.
We got 40 minutes. We just want to make sure that humanity stays at the heart of everything that we do, how we are, how we carry ourselves. I think that there has been a loss in this system.
Right.
I think that there are so many people struggling, and a lot of people want to make excuses or say that we are not responsible or accountable for each other. And I get we are all individuals, but we are all also a collective. We're a community. We're all connected. And so to lose our humanity just shows the loss of civilization. I don't care what nobody say. So we need to make sure that we are staying true to who we are, that we are in essence spirit, and that we need to make sure that we understand that we have to do better and we do have to fight for the greater good. And like LJ was saying, as far as it relates to rehabilitation and remediation, the jail is not for people, and I've seen people saying it's not a hotel and it's not a motel. No, it's not. But there is basic human decency. There are human rights that people have for simply being human. So I think we definitely need to keep that in mind when we're talking about people.
Right. And let's say this real quick because we're about to get into our special guest, y'all. But today we're going to be talking about environmental justice and what Tia was just speaking on just then about the rights that we have as a people, just to be able to live in a clean society, having clean streets, being able to have clean air, being able to have our trash taken out, not having trash all, throughout our neighborhood, trees, cutting down the carbon emissions, things like that. It's very important. And not at one time, and even now, today, there have been a lot of intentional things done to our environment to keep certain underserved people marginalized, where we have a lack of access to some resources. Then we have even more exposure to things like cancer, and heart disease, things like that, because of us living in food deserts or being exposed to certain contaminants, in the air, in our water, things like that. And we have people that represent us in the city, and good God, that we have great people like our next guest represent for us, keeping Macon-Bibb beautiful.
Yes, she is advocate extraordinaire. She is doing so much, not just only with Keep Macon-Bibb Beautiful, but some of her other projects that she's doing that she's also going to get into. Thank you so much for being here in the studio, Miss Aisha.
Yes, thank you. Thank you all for allowing me to be here.
Wow, it's our pleasure.
No, we're glad to have you. I promise you.
Well, I'm excited for the conversation.
Yes,
for sure.
And so I kind of just want to give y'all a real quick definition of environmental racism. It refers to the disproportionate impact of environmental hazards on communities of color, particularly Black, Indigenous, and other marginalized groups. It highlights the environmental policies, practices, and decisions, whether intentional or not, often results in these communities being more exposed to pollutants, toxic waste, and other environmental harms. So kind of to kick things off from Ms. Aisha, we do have the question, as executive director of Keep Macon-Bibb Beautiful, how do you define environmental justice in the context of a city like Macon?
Okay, well, great question. Y'all came out just blazing right away.
This village talk.
Well, for me, and I'm gonna sort of Commissioner Stewart says I'm long-winded, so if I go too long, y'all cut me short.
No, he ain't.
but when I think about environmental justice, and I like to also make things personal, right, and include my own experiences. And so at the age of 8 in 1980, my family moved to Macon from Patterson, New Jersey. And so I grew up in South Macon. So from the age of 8 to 25 years old, I lived in South Macon, and I had a great childhood. But when I go back and backtrack as far as the neighborhood where I grew up, it's not the same community. And so when I think about environmental justice, I think about, you know, my 8-year-old, 10-year-old self, 15-year-old self, who grew up in South Macon, which was a strong working class community. But now when I go back on the street that I grew up, the street where I played, the street where I learned how to drive, where I skated, where I broke my wrist when I was 10 years old, I don't see that same community. And sometimes when I drive through there, I don't even think that I'm even in Macon, Georgia. I think that sometimes I'm in a third world country.
Wow.
And so when I think about like, wow, like what happened in that 25-year time period from the time at 25 when I left, you know, South Macon and my childhood neighborhood where my grandparents, you know, worked hard for many years, you know, what happened?
Right.
And why is it that I can't remember driving down Houston Avenue or in areas of South Macon? Why can't I remember my childhood? Because it's like, you know, I have to really go back and use my imagination because there's no trace of what was once there. And so so when I think of environmental justice, or you could say environmental injustice, you know, I think about communities that were once thriving communities that have that are now in disarray and decay. And you know, sometimes it seems surreal. Sometimes it seems like it's a nightmare, like this can't be real, but it is definitely real. And so then the question comes then, okay, well, what do we do about it? Because it's not just my South Macon neighborhood that I grew up in. I see it throughout all parts of Macon. And so it definitely is a concern of mine, and it's definitely an issue that we all have a responsibility for as far as taking action.
Absolutely. Yeah. And you know, on the South Side, you know, coming up, you know, they always say stuff, you know, like the stank side and all that kind of stuff, right? But they didn't realize though that smell we were smelling that came from those factories.
Yeah. Yeah. They used to call it the paper mill back in the day,
Right.
I think. Yeah.
Pulp
yeah.
mill.
Yeah, the pulp mill, paper mill. Yeah, and I grew up not very far from there, you know, off of Houston Avenue. And at the time, you know, because I remember every time when it got ready to rain, that's when it really was the smell was really strong. And we didn't realize then as far as the environmental health impacts that was happening on our community.
Absolutely.
And many of us who, you know, lived in those communities, not just in Macon, but in other places nearby that had to live in those conditions, we didn't know what we know now as far as the impact that, you know, that those conditions had on our, and still are having on our health.
Right. I know Tia and I, we do a lot of dives into data, and when we look at places like the South Side and South Macon, you know, we were even shocked to know that like the South Macon ranked like in the bottom 99%, like at the very bottom.
Wow.
Right. When it came to
Social vulnerability.
Yeah, social vulnerability index, in as far as people being their exposure, you know, to things like cancer or like the birth defects, and things like that. And a lot of it came because of the air quality, you know, and the stuff that's coming from those factories and things like that. So yeah, it's something that we definitely need to be more conscious of and aware of. So we're glad someone like you was over there. And you have a no matter of fact, like, you know, we will talk about some of the good stuff. Because for one, you're doing a lot with these community cleanups. You're doing an amazing job. If y'all ain't been paying attention, you've not been seeing what's been happening online. Y'all been seeing all your hoods coming together, the kids and everybody with the trash bags and the gloves and vests and all that. That is because of the work of Miss Aisha Warner Ellen. And of course, she's gonna, you know, she can't do it without the community. She can't do it without us, you know. But you know, she's leading that effort. And you have some coming up in South Macon.
Yeah, coming up in South Macon, you know, we've done things all over Macon. We just had a few weeks ago the big collaborative West Side neighborhood cleanups where we had communities from Unionville and Pleasant Hill and Bellevue, Napier Heights, you know, all coming together collectively. But people keep asking me, well, what about South Macon? What about South Macon? They're like, you know, you've been to West Macon. We see you in East Macon and Fort Hill. And so we're coming to South Macon. We're coming to South Macon this Saturday, working with the Neighborhood Watch Association, the Linmore Avenue, Antioch, Glenmore Circle. They go by LAL. They're a small group, but they're determined. And so we need help though to come out and help them. We're going to be focusing on the Antioch Road area. So that's this Saturday, May 31st. We're going to meet at 8 a.m. We were able to also collaborate with the church. So they're going to open the doors of the church, y'all. And so,
shout out to the church.
yes, Greater Antioch Baptist Church. They're going to open the doors. So we will have, access to the facilities. And of course, we'll have refreshments and beverages and things for volunteers.
Awesome.
But we need hands on deck. We do. We need some hands to come out and help us out. If the more I say many hands make little work. So we can get many hands out there. We can make a huge impact this Saturday on Antioch Road.
That's right. Y'all hear that, y'all? Hey, look, don't be talking about, complaining. One thing about accountability check, we do accountability check every week, right? But that ain't about just blaming elected officials, appointed officials, none of that. All these folks that's supposed to be in charge. We are in charge of our own environments and our own communities. And that's what begins it, right? So when you see people like Miss Aisha coming into the neighborhood, she's like, hey, I'm coming to South Macon. I'm gonna have all the equipment, everything you need. We got the church. We're gonna have a little food, maybe a couple of refreshments and stuff. Look, show up. Let people know you care about your community, yourself, right? Because there ain't no need to complain about what others aren't doing if we're not gonna get out, and do what we got to do ourselves for our own community. So if you're on the South Side, you care about your side of town, make sure you lock in with Keep Making Beer Beautiful and get your hands on deck.
That's right. All hands on deck. Boots on the ground. Where them fans at?
Right. We got everything you need at Antioch Greater Baptist Church?
Greater Antioch Baptist Church over on Greeter Street, corner of Greeter and Antioch Road. So come in. If you only got 30 minutes, we'll take you 30 minutes, whatever time you have. Right. We just need your support.
And even if you aren't from the South Side, don't currently live on the South Side, Macon Bibb is still all of our community. So if you are free from 8 to 12 on this coming Saturday, be sure to come out. Patrick Davis has in the comments, volunteers are needed for the Antioch Road cleanup on Saturday, May 31st at 8 a.m. A joint initiative with the LAL Linmore Avenue, Antioch Road, Linmore Circle Neighborhood Watch Association, and Greater Antioch Baptist Church. We will provide breakfast and necessary supplies. Make sure y'all do that. Desmond Brown said, you make us proud, Aisha.
Oh, that's my classmate, class of 1990. I done told our age now.
It's out there. Joe Booz showing some love. Kia also, Sharani Danley says facts. And then we have Patrick Davis with a question. I think that was from a little bit earlier. Is it possible to get at least a veto-proof 6 votes on the county commission in regards to building a new jail? We can ask Commissioner Stewart if we have some time at the end of the show. And then also
shout out to my guy Steve Bryan. I see him. He's all the way in Alexandria, Virginia, checking us out. He's from Macon.
Right.
But he's in Virginia checking out.
Hometown.
So shout out to our hometown folks that's not in the city but still checking on the city.
Right. And then Sharani also says, hi, LJ and Tia. I can help anyone get registered to vote, or they can do it online for free. Yes, y'all go to Georgia's My Voter page. If you are not familiar with, if you are registered, where you need to go to vote, you can vote at the Board of Elections during early voting. But if you're going to be waiting until the regular election, I believe on June 15th, make sure you know your precinct and where you need to go. And you can check that out on the Georgia My Voter page, y'all. All right. And so I think the information that Ms. Aisha is sharing is amazing, because you don't know what you don't know. And like, even when y'all were talking about the pollutants with the stink in the air, and people not understanding that connection to just environmental hazards, environmental inequity, and understanding the impact that it can have on your health. When you talk about 25 years of disinvestment and pollution, what impact that can have and create on a community. So I did just want to ask you the question, are there any specific initiatives or partnerships you're leading to address overlapping issues with social determinants of health, health inequity, and things like that holistically?
Well, yes. Well, there are many things, but just to narrow it down to one, because we've already started on through a grant that we received, a couple of grants, one from AARP, one from Cox Communications, with some things that we're doing with the park over in Fort Hill on Eastview Avenue. Okay. So we have been able to work with Charm Myers with Grow Macon Inc. And so with grant funding, she currently runs a community garden at that park. She's been doing great work for I guess about 2-3 years now. And so we were able through grant funding to do things like at the park, add fruit-bearing trees to help complement the vegetable garden, but also plant additional shade trees. We were able to also to bring some inspiration, and we know the East Side is all about East Side out loud. So we were able to commission an artist, Kevin Singh Lewis, to do a mural on the basketball court, and it was all dedicated to Northeast Raiders and well, just the Raiders in general, since every school on the East Side are the Raiders. Right. And so those were some of the things that we were able to do to bring about some environmental enhancements to the park, but also bring about some community pride. Right. And so now we'll be able to do a little bit more through a $50,000 grant that we received from Cox Communications. So we're working on those efforts now so we can start, implementing those things come, hopefully by the end of the summer, early fall, and just things such as just, adding new picnic tables, and not just regular picnic tables, but the game top picnic tables, where citizens can come in the park and enjoy the park. We got more trees added, and so they can have a cool place to be able to play checkers or chess. My inspiration is to be able to have some outdoor chess tournaments there. So I'll be reaching out to y'all next about that. Right. But then also too, I listen to the community. I'm very intentional of making sure that even when I'm going in the community with good intentions, that I make sure that I find out from the citizens of that community what they want. Because what I may think is a great idea and is a need or necessity, those who live there may feel otherwise. So I met with last year the Fort Hill East Macon Neighborhood Watch Association to find out some things that they wanted, and some other citizens as well in the Fort Hill community. And they shared that, they wanted exercise equipment. And so through this grant, we'll be able to have some outside calisthenics equipment. Awesome. So we're addressing the issue, working with Grow Macon Inc. with the food insecurities by also adding fruit-bearing trees, but also, shade trees as well, but also addressing the health issue by also adding some outdoor exercise equipment. So now individuals have an opportunity to go to the park for enjoyment purposes, but also for health and relaxation as well.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
So so I'm excited about that. So, and then we also received another grant. I can't go into much detail because I haven't actually made a public announcement, but we did just recently receive a grant that's going to also help benefit that community with some things that we'll be doing with Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Elementary School. I'll have more details. I can't share too much yet, but I'll have some more details on that. So those are some of the immediate things that we're doing. But I am also applying for additional funding focusing on the 31206 zip code, which is South Macon, focusing on those schools, particularly the elementary schools in the 31206 zip code. So hopefully within the next a few weeks or a month or so, I'll have some good news to share about grants that I've applied for those communities as well.
That's awesome. Seriously awesome.
Yes. If I had one of those little sound effects with the round of applause, that's what we do.
We got to bring Tony. Remember that, Tony? Yeah, Tony, our engineer, y'all. Yeah, for sure. I just like to say something real quick because Tia mentioned social determinants of health, right? And a lot of people don't understand what that is and what that really means. And some of the work you're doing, like with the fitness equipment and how you're doing something, planting the trees and stuff like that right now. You did mention that first of all, that you're asking the people what they want, what they want to see. So important. Yeah, and that's very important. But also, a lot of our people are uninformed in regards to the things that are affecting us every day on a day-to-day basis. And social determinants of health have a lot to do with that. Can you just tell our viewers and our listeners, what social determinants of health are and the work that you're doing, how that is helping to alleviate some of our issues with our social determinants of health?
Yeah, well, absolutely. My focus on social determinant of health, though, goes back, a few years when I was an education specialist with LifeLink of Georgia. And so, when we're talking about social determinants of health, we're talking about things such as, of course, our physical health, our mental health, but we're also talking about food insecurities. We're talking about housing insecurities. And what I see in a lot of our communities that's impacted the greatest, as far as with the work I do now, whether it's cleanups or environmental issues, all of those things come into play. And so communities where we see a high tendency of illegal dump sites, for example, but we also see high issues of blight in those same communities. We see whether it's blighted structures or just, blighted properties, even if there's no structure on there, but the impacts that all of these cause as far as from our health issues. We also see a lot of times in these same communities, a lack of trees. Right. And that might be something that we don't really think about much, but, think about the high cases of asthma, particularly of people of color. Right. And especially when you start talking about people in low or underserved or low income communities, we have a high tendency as far as asthma. So all of this plays a part as far as in our social determinants of health. The lack of food sources, food insecurities, the lack of access to fresh fruits and vegetables. And some people say to me, well, what does all of this have to do with Keep Making It Beautiful? Well, the key word is beautiful. Right. And so everything impacts what makes Keep Making It Beautiful. Right. Not just, me providing cleanup supplies or doing cleanups, but everything. Once again, Commissioner Stewart said I'm long-winded, so stop me if you need.
You are special guest. You say
stop me if you need to. But there's an image, and out of respect for the community, I won't say which neighborhood I was in, but it's an image that has stuck with me for the last year or two. I was in a community actually going to an illegal dump site that someone had emailed or called in about, and I was going to take pictures of the area. And while I was in this particular neighborhood, it was a beautiful sight to see a family. It was a mother, father, and a toddler. Baby looked like he or she was about 2 years old, and they were walking through the neighborhood. And so from a close-up, it was a beautiful image. But then when you do a wide lens view of it, on each side of the street, there was dilapidated, blighted property. It sort of ended almost like in a dead end, cul-de-sac dead end. That's where the illegal dump site was. And that's where this family was. That's where this family lived. And that's where this baby, at least at this particular time, that's where this baby was born and was growing up. And I was like, wow, we go a lot. When I say we, Keep Making It Beautiful, and we have an education committee, we go into the schools and we talk to the students, particularly usually second, third graders, about, don't be a litter bug and why you shouldn't litter. But I'm like, how am I going to really be able to have this conversation with this child or another child in this similar situation about don't be a litter bug when they're waking up to blight and dilapidated properties to the right, to the left, across the street, a legal dump site as they're passing by. And so I don't even know if I'm answering the question, but absolutely. But the image of that has stuck with me. And I knew from that point on that it's a greater responsibility. It's more for me to do than just check off the box to say I went into the school and read to some kids, or I went into a school and talked to some kids about why they shouldn't litter. Well, how am I going to expect you to really understand the concept of why you shouldn't, throw your soda bottle or your potato chip bag on the ground when you're living amongst chaos and confusion? And so we have to widen our scope. Like I said, when I widen my scope and I saw the image, and I can literally see the image in my head right now, it hurts me. It hurts me, and it should hurt anyone, regardless of whatever your race, whatever your background, whatever your socioeconomic status, to be able to know that there are children that are living in our community that are living in conditions that are equivalent to a third world country.
Yeah, and that's serious. With like a lot of people don't even understand and know that over 40% of our kids live and below the poverty line.
Yes. Yes.
And that's something that's serious. And even with true development, and I love like the lens of how you're looking at the work that you're doing, because even when you talk about beauty, a lot of times people look at it from an outside in perspective and not from an inside out. Mm-hmm. Right. And you let people know that true beauty is loving yourself from the inside out.
Yes.
All the way up and down. And even true community development is done from that perspective. It's done from a people first. Yes. Like if you're not developing the people, or if you're not keeping in mind of how whatever it is that you're doing is affecting the people, who cares about what new building you're building, or who cares about these new streets or whatever that you're doing, if our people aren't being built up. So you having that approach and actually caring about the people, even with Keep Making It Beautiful. I mean, I know I haven't seen, I've seen a lot of folks, working with Keep Making It Beautiful, whatever, but no shade. But I mean, we speak the truth on this show. We have never seen Keep Making It Beautiful working in some of the neighborhoods that you're working in. So I commend you for going to Houston Avenue, for going to Pleasant Hill, coming to Unionville, Bellevue, Fort Hill, you coming to what we call the hood.
Yeah.
You know,
But I'm a product of all those areas. Like I said, from the age of 8 to 25, I was in South Macon. I went to church in Pleasant Hill. And a lot of people don't know this, but at one point in time, earlier in my career, I worked in sales for Coca-Cola. So I was all over Macon and all parts of Macon. And I know what Macon was, and I know what Macon can be. But it's gonna take some work. It's gonna take some honest conversations, and using your words, it's gonna take some accountability on all of our parts, not just our government, but us as individuals as well too.
Absolutely. Tia, you got
Well, just very quickly, we do have a caller on the line. We're gonna move into, because I know Miss Aisha talked a lot about Fort Hill and what's going on in that neighborhood. Our community corner spotlight is on Fort Hill in East Macon. We have a caller on the line. Sherman, are you there?
Sherman, Big Sherman, what I call him. You might know. Well, real quick before he gets on, our community corners where we spotlight and highlight, a community in Macon. One of our underserved communities. We're really going to go all over the town, even some that's not necessarily underserved, but we're going to mostly highlight our underserved communities because people don't really know what's going on. So we have people that are advocates, are working through and primarily through our neighborhood associations. And Sherman is a vice president of the Fort Hill Neighborhood Association. And so he's
Fort Hill, East Macon. Don't leave that part out.
Okay, Fort Hill, East Macon.
It's the Fort Hill, East Macon Neighborhood Association.
Okay, Fort Hill, East Macon Neighborhood Association. We also got East Macon. Oh, what is something? Am I wrong? What East Macon District?
Yeah,
District 3.
As the media relations for the Fort Hill East Macon Neighborhood Association.
Okay, all right, cool.
East Side Out Loud in the building.
Yeah, so we got Stanley Stewart. You got him in the background. Yeah, he's got such a smooth voice. He's got a radio voice himself. Yeah, but he represents District 3, which is East Macon as well. But so Sherman is on the line. Sherman, you on the line?
Big money making, baby.
Hey, I need my big money making T-shirt, man. When you gonna pull them out, man?
Everybody.
What's going on, brother? Hey, what's happening real quick, brother? We got about 5 minutes right now to talk about Fort Hill. I know you can talk about it all day. I know you love Fort Hill and the East Macon, but let us know what's going on, in Fort Hill right now. Some of the challenges that y'all are having, and some of the good things that y'all have going on, and the support that you need from the community.
Well, the challenges are, just people showing up for important meetings and knowing the schedule of the community. Like, people need to be more attentive, how stuff go. So I say people showing up and showing out is the challenges. And the good stuff going on, we're doing a partnership with Fort Hawkins. We're going to try to get some stuff done. We're really organizing. With matter of fact, buy some land to do an event center in Fort Hill. And I've been doing a lot of little work with school football program. So we got a lot of positive things going on. But we need more people to be more open about going to these community events because we all need each other like a village, like like a show say. So that's about it.
Okay. Yeah, man. Shout out to you though, man, for doing. I mean, you've been, in the trenches for real.
Right.
That's what it takes. A lot of people like yourself don't really get the recognition that you deserve. So we definitely want to give your flowers, for being in the trenches with the people. And being somebody who was once all the way in the trenches, you changed your life around, and now you've been an advocate, working with, violence intervention, working with the youth on, sports training, things like that. But just, being a young person, that's under 40, that's still, working in the neighborhood association. Because a lot of times, you don't see like when neighborhood watch or these neighborhood associations, you don't see a lot of people that's under 40 or shoot, even under 50, that are active and working in the community, bro. So we salute you for that. And is there anything else you'd like to say as far as like how can we get more of you out there? Do you need to see more more people like yourself, or some more younger people to come out there and help you out, or how you feel about that? Well, we think he in the Matrix.
Yeah, we're not really getting a clear audio with Big Sherm. We might have to come back to you.
Yeah, man.
But we appreciate you, Sherman. We appreciate everything you do. Shout out, he is one of our sponsors for the week with Assembly Brothers. So y'all make sure y'all check Sherman out for any thing y'all need as far as with renovations. He's doing renovations, he's doing building. So make sure y'all reach out to Sherman Kine. And then also he's doing the youth. He's doing some coaching for youth football.
Yeah, every Sunday. So make sure y'all check him out as well with the youth. If you have any young boys that need some football training. All right. And then just real quickly, while we're on the subject of Fort Hill, Patrick Davis says Fort Hill is classified as a food desert. I'm sorry. In an area where access to fresh fruits, vegetables, and providers are of otherwise healthy foods are scarce. The community garden owned by Grow Making Inc. will also be tended by residents. They are allowed to reap the food that they sow. That's awesome. Teresa Southern also said that the Elaine Lucas Center is open for voting. Thank you for that information, Teresa. We appreciate you. Let's see. We also have Sharoni saying, are there any programs that help with grant writing and business startup for people who would like to find resources to help these communities improve their environments? Kia Booz replied and said for her to reach out to Spark Macon. If y'all know of anybody else who does grant writing or anything like that, make sure y'all let them know. Teresa Southern says, you better speak, Aisha Ellen. Yes, ma'am. I heard a whole neck snap. I heard some neck snapping and finger popping.
Desmond Brown, who is our MWA board District 2 board member, says Keep Making Beautiful is making a difference in minimizing the trash that clogs our stormwater infrastructure. Well done, Aisha. And so thank you again, Ms. Aisha, for everything that you're doing. Sherman Kine and Zakia also had some comments. Zakia said true. I don't know if she was talking about the whole show, but yes.
We're talking about what Aisha was saying. She was dropping it.
Yes, she was dropping all of that wisdom. Absolutely. She also said that's amazing. So y'all, we appreciate y'all in the comments. We appreciate y'all in the comments. If y'all have anything else to say, make sure y'all keep the conversation going on Village Talks Facebook page. If you haven't liked or followed that page, be sure to like or follow it. And then just very quickly before we get out of here, Miss Aisha, and I know you talked about the work you did with LifeLink. How does that connect with your documentary? I know that you also did the Made for a King documentary as well. If you could speak to us about those documentaries, how it intertwines with the work you're doing with Keep Making Beautiful, and just the work that you do in general with your passion for the community.
Okay. Well, I had the pleasure, and it was just a blessing to be able to executive produce 2 documentaries, Made for King and The Perfect Gift. Now, The Perfect Gift is completely separate from Keep Making Beautiful. I started that project back in 2019 with an exhibit and a coffee table book, and I left LifeLink before I was able to complete the 3rd part. And, I always say, don't burn bridges, because through the encouragement of Commissioner Stewart, he said, you need to go ahead and finish this project. And so I reached out to my old director, Bobby Howard, with LifeLink, and to ask him for his support as far as for me to complete what I had started. And his only word to me was, what do you need? And then I was able to also connect with another amazing resource right here in Macon, the Douglas Theater, Dr. Shelton Land, who then connected me to Deidre Taylor and Kyrie McMillan. And, it took us a year, but we made it happen. And so we were able to premiere that documentary back in April. We'll do an encore presentation of it the first Saturday in August at the Tubman. So, if you didn't get a chance to see it in April, definitely come out to the Douglas. Yeah. And then Made for a King. Well, Made for a King just started through a grant that we received. It was just going to be a mural project. but the mural was based on Dr. King's last visit to Macon on March 23rd, 1968. And just 13 days before his assassination. And most people didn't know that history. And so as spectacular as the mural is that Kevin St. Louis created, I felt the need that story needed to be told.
Yes.
I had just learned of it even recently myself through Stanley Stewart and George Crawley. And so I reached out and just by chance ran into Allison Booker and Krista Cook. We had worked together on previous years on a project. And I said, hey, I want to do a documentary. I've never done one before. And they had never done one before. And we said, okay, well, we just gonna figure it out. And so I'm excited that on Juneteenth, part of the Juneteenth celebration on June 19th, we'll have an encore presentation of Made for King at the Douglas Theater at 2 p.m. So both of those projects just are near and dear to me. But they all also impact as far as the beauty of Macon. With The Perfect Gift, it was highlighting the positive impacts of African Americans as it pertains to organ donation and transplantation. And so through that project, we were able to highlight individuals, a lot from Macon, but different individuals throughout the state who were either transplant recipients or living donors or family members of those who had passed away who were organ donors. But it still goes back to the health, the social determinants of health, the things what causes us to make up to be, as African Americans, to be 80% of those who are in need of, 60% of those who are in need of life-saving transplants in Georgia. 80% are in need of kidneys. How many of us know people who are on dialysis? And so what causes us to be so prone when it comes to issues that cause those issues that impact our organs, from high blood pressure to diabetes to cardiovascular issues? And so that still impacts, because the people of our community make up the beauty of our community. And so if our people are sick, if our people are dying, if our people are having to struggle and be on dialysis, then that impacts the beauty of our community. And so even though that project was completely separate from Keep Macon Be Beautiful, it still ties into the social determinants of health in our community. It still ties into environmental justice, or should I say injustice, in our community as well.
Right. And I did get the honor of asking Dr. and I forget his name. I know you will be able to.
Dr. Minja.
Dr. Minja. So a few questions about how social determinants of health affect, what you all are doing, or what he does as far as being a surgeon in that field. So I think I'm not sure if Dr. Minja will be here at the next showing.
I'm hoping, but he is working on some things. If you all know Candace Stevens, wife of Jabron Stevens, Jabron donated his kidney to Candace. So ladies, if he ain't willing to donate you a kidney, don't fool with him. But so Candace, through her organization, the Day After Foundation, is working on some things that will also hopefully have Dr. Minja. And for those who don't know, Dr. Minja is an African-American transplant surgeon, to be able to have him, come back to Macon as well.
Right.
Well, we appreciate everything that you are doing and you have done, and just coming on the show. Thank you so much.
Oh, yeah.
And if y'all don't get nothing else from this, I know what I got from this. And I already knew this, but I got it even more, is that she represents Keep Macon Be Beautiful, right? But being beautiful absolutely stems from loving yourself and loving people from the inside out, right? So keeping Macon Be Beautiful is not just about the outside of Macon.
Right.
It's about our people on the inside, making sure that we are healthy, making sure that we are happy, and we're thriving from the inside out. And what's going on the inside needs to reflect on the outside.
Yes.
So it's a balance now.
Yeah. It's a balance.
So we appreciate you for doing this balancing act, but it's not an act, it's so real. And we appreciate you.
Very authentic, very beautiful spirit.
You.
We appreciate you, Miss Aisha. Shout out again to our sponsors, Dr. Chike Akua and Reading Revolution, Sherman Khan with Assembly Brothers, Habersham Records, so Miss Pat Malone, LJ Malone, and the family. We appreciate y'all, and we cannot forget Homeland Village Cultural Center. Thank you so much. And always, shout out to Apostle and Bishop for everything that they do. We appreciate y'all. We love y'all. And last but certainly not least, we appreciate the Family Village Talks. We appreciate y'all in the comments and for giving us a call in.
as our village brothers, sisters, and cousins. Appreciate y'all in the comments, all of y'all. All right, so check us next week, and happy Juneteenth coming up, y'all. Don't forget about Juneteenth coming up.
Yeah, I got the schedule
You've
on
been
my page,
listening
y'all.
to Village Talks with Tia and LJ. Join them live every Wednesday from 5:30 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. right here on the Glory 107.9 FM, 980 AM, WDDO.
The views expressed on this program are not necessarily the views of the Glory 980 AM, the Glory Media Group, LLC, WDDO AM, its staff, management, or advertisers, but are the views and opinions of the participants of the broadcast.
Connecting the community through gospel. The new 107.9 FM, W300EB.